Okay. Shalom to everyone. I am Jane Francisca Mulongo, a Loreto sister, born in Kenya in 1963. I belong to this institute that was founded by Venerable Mary Ward, who lived in 1585 and 1645. She was born in England, Yorkshire, at a time when it was very difficult to be a practicing Catholic, the aftermath of English Reformation. And so she was touched by the injustices that were practiced in her society, especially to women. Therefore, desire for justice is what triggered our initial charism. For those who know history or interested in history, that time, King Henry VIII was in charge, and he had fallen out with the Catholic Church, which had denied him an annulment of marriage with one of his wives who had not given him an heir to his throne. So as a result, the church suffered, and Mary and her relatives also suffered in the process. Now, our charism is embodied in three mystical visions of Mary Ward. In 1609, she had just moved back from having tried out being a Poor Clare sister, but she didn't feel that was where her call is. So she was looking for some other thing. And one time she had a vision, some spiritual experience, where she had these words, glory, glory, glory. Although it was not clear what it was going to be, but she knew that whatever it was, her call, it was going to bring glory to God. 2 years later, she also had another spiritual experience where she heard these words distinctly: take the same as the society. And at that time, the society, of course, the Society of Jesus, the Jesuits in England were running a boys' school. But because of the society conditions, the girls were not going to school. So Mary dared. She said, why not education for the girls? So she started girls' schools. She was opposed, criticized, but she endured that. Then in 1615, she also had another spiritual experience where she perceived a just soul, this pure soul that had these qualities. A soul that is just, that is free, that is sincere, and that is joyful. And so she desired these characteristics for the companions who would belong to her congregation. Within this period, she also had other difficulties because there were proposals and so many other people challenging her way of thinking, but she did not fret. With the help of a Jesuit spiritual director, she chose that propagation of faith through education for the girl child be our charism. As you may know, a charism is a spirit, so it is dynamic. It's something that keeps growing and changing. So there was a long period between those origins that I've explained and now during Vatican II and after, the concept of universal mission and going where the need is greatest became the key criteria for ministries. Successive Institute General Congregation meetings re-examined our charism and upgraded it to propagation of faith through education of the girl child and other ministries congruent to the times. Today, we have diversified ministries besides formal education. We find God in all things, promoting integral human development, condemning injustices, and creating awareness, particularly now on Laudato Si. As mentioned by Dr. Ryan, in March through April in 2021, a survey organized by Loyola University, New Orleans, and funded by the Hilton Foundation was conducted among our sisters in the province. The goal was to explore the influence of charism and Catholic social teaching on congregational ministries. The survey sample consisted of 80 professed sisters who were eligible participants, but 15 sisters could not participate for various reasons, and then 7 participated in another form. Among the 7 were the council members and 2 of us who were the students in Loyola Institute for Ministry. We sent out invitations to 58 sisters, and 38 out of 58 responded, making the response rate to be 58.6%. The survey process. This was done very officially. We sent out a letter of invitation to the sisters, and it included the title of the survey, reasons for collecting data, approximate time needed by the sisters to respond to the survey questionnaire. Confidentiality was explained. The link to the Google form where the questionnaire would be found was also given, and the explanation was given on how results would be shared. We also sought consent in writing from the sisters who chose to participate freely. Results. The strengths that were shown on how we foster integral human development. Human life and dignity, which is one of the Catholic social teaching themes. Rights and responsibilities, care of creation. These ones had a very high rating. And indeed, among the IBVMs, this human life and dignity is a household slogan. It appears in all our orientation programs. And then we also promote the welfare of our employees, our students, and our sisters by ensuring that they are secure, that their payments for those who are employed are up to the standard that is required or acceptable, that all their other welfares that are required for them to be comfortable to serve are also taken care of. There are retreats, Eucharistic celebrations, prayer sessions, ongoing formation programs, holidays, allowances, breaks, and even equipment for working, things that make us, that at least make us meet this human life and dignity aspect. The opportunities we have to live Catholic social teaching and within our charism and ministry. We as religious are fortunate in this way. We can read church documents and institute documents. For example, now there is a big development about synodality. And so we are also in picture with this. And as an institute, we are discussing becoming one, because those sisters whom Mary Ward founded had several branches due to historical reasons. But now we are left with 2 branches, the Companions of Jesus and IBVM, which the group that I belong to. But there are discussions now all going on about us becoming one, which is a great transformation. Studying to gain relevant knowledge, skills, and attitudes that will enable us to serve better. Researching on aspects of our religious life, then restructuring our formation programs using new information. For example, different leadership models now, which as a result of research, we are now trying out. The reality of our world today and the reality of our church today, different cultures, all these impact our ministries, and therefore we need to understand them well enough through research and studies. Adhering to invitations by the mainstream church, especially what the encyclicals teach, and developing them. We can choose to be more accountable in our partnership with God and our stakeholders. The challenges that were surfaced during this survey: dignity of work and rights of workers. As a province, we go by government labor laws and church regulations. Yet, pay for that we would consider a just pay is not really realized. That was expressed, or if we compare that perhaps to what the Western countries would pay their employees, we are not measuring up. Sometimes our overtime work is not paid for, and ongoing training for employees so as to perfect their skill. In some cases, it's sponsored. In some cases, we have been unable to sponsor them, which will be a very good motivation. And then the housing for some employees, in some situations there, it is difficult because we don't have enough houses to do that. Not observing due process in hiring and separation with employees, but the recent hiring of a human resource manager within the province was a help. Although justice, peace, integrity of creation is a constitutive dimension of our life, some sisters reported that this has not translated into how well we take care of our employees. We are doing something, but we could do more, in other words. Poor preparation of sisters for taking leadership roles in ministries is also one of the reasons why we have those hitches that have been pointed out. Further challenges: the theme on family community participation was also found wanting. Some of our ministries serve families. As Maureen had mentioned last time, we have Wanawake kwa Wanawake, and we have Nyumbani Children's Home, where they are directly serving families. And also our students participate in environmental cleaning activities and support the communities. Yet we can do more by specializing in family therapy to serve the family unit that is vulnerable today. We can empower families in rural parish communities, minister to single or divorced parents, or to our polygamous families. Harmonious community living is a challenge today. So it is a call to each one of us to make it work, informed by gospel values. Solidarity was also a theme that was found wanting among us. One of our General Council 2014 calls invited us to create a oneness that moves us across boundaries. We also have an NGO desk on which sits a Companion of Jesus sister, an IBVM sister. Those are the two branches or daughters of Mary Ward at the UN. Yet, national and cultural heritage affects us. One respondent actually wrote, "We tend to live in a cocoon." An unhealthy attitude was pointed out. There are traces of my people, an inclination to tribe or race, which creates fear, hinders closeness and objectivity. Recommendations that came from our sisters, and these we were making to our leadership, Maureen and I. A disclaimer: we recognize the good that has already been done. We recommend processes that will bring the merges for us individually, for us as community, and for our ministries. We recommend that each sister understands our charism well, interprets it well in the context of her ministry, and shares it with stakeholders. The rationale for this recommendation was, when stakeholders understand well who we are, what our ministries are meant to accomplish, and the right attitude with which to serve. They can take our charism and ministries far and faster in creative ways that will complement our efforts. We can also evaluate our ministries more accurately when we understand well what our yardstick is, the charism. Further recommendations. Over 75% of the sisters in the survey recommended that Catholic social teachings be taught in our formation houses. Catholic social teachings should be frequently discussed in our communities to create awareness and propose best practices. Sisters should study and train in Catholic social teaching because it empowers us for mission and more engagement with the mainstream church. Catholic social teaching should be made an integral part of faith formation in parishes and schools from the start. The crisis of our common home, portrayed in Laudato Si, is urgent and it requires that we act. Revival of community quality time for sisters to recreate and to renew themselves and for ongoing formation was recommended. Address tribalism, racism. 6 sisters out of 33 respondents stated that we want a united province. To work better, we should eliminate tribal biases. Brainstorm on root causes of such behavior. Invoke authority documents. See negative effects of tribalism, then choose to tackle the problem without pointing accusing fingers. The findings of this survey should be further researched on. For example, 27 out of 33 respondents, that is a huge percent, recommended that we prioritize needs of the poor and the marginalized, and that on the tombstone of our foundress, Mary Ward, is written, "To live and to die with the poor was all the aim of Mary Ward." So we need to make these very visible among us. General Council calls in 2014, one of them said, "Bring those forced to live in poverty to the center of our lives and ministries." The 17 Sustainable Development Goals, Vision 2030, and some encyclicals emphasize eradicating poverty. Finally, we ask that the leaders, our leaders in the province, may allow us to give sisters feedback as we had promised we would do. We are ready, willing, and available to midwife these recommendations, a process that we trust will bring our desired change. Sisters recommended that we set up workshops for sisters and stakeholders to understand Catholic social teaching themes because they are very important. Last but not least are the valuable learnings for my personal and spiritual development that I've gained from Loyola Institute of Ministry. The examen prayer, Catholic social teaching, the LIM approach to learning, where my initial knowledge is refined through factors of other contexts, the social, cultural, personal, institutional, Christian tradition, until all assumptions are checked. An increased appreciation for dialogue and listening skills, IT skills, Zoom, webinar, WhatsApp, Skype, etc., like what we are doing now, which enables many to participate globally. Thank you very much for the opportunity.